Hello and welcome to another episode of the Tip Balls Podcast. I am your host, Sam Randazzo. I am joined by my two gritty co-hosts. To my right, it is the one, the only. It's Uncle Sam.
Hello.
And to my left, it is none other than our very own, Mr. Zolo, Mike Palazzolo.
Go Tigers.
Go Tigers. We will be updating you on everything going on with the Tigers. Zolo is our official Tigers analyst. Oh, well, we have an update.
They just bunted guys on first and second, and Foley actually made a nice play. Or was it Rogers? Maybe Rogers just made a nice play to get the guy out at first, but tying runs in scoring position, 1 out.
So if you're choosing to watch Tip Balls today rather than the Tigers, thank you for being here, and we will definitely keep you guys updated on everything going on with them. Big day today. We're not wasting any time. I don't give a fuck how their weeks have gone so far. It's only Tuesday.
I love that, weirdly.
3 of us were at the Lions game last night. We've got thoughts on that. We have the Tigers right now in a playoff game. Devontae Adams is about to get moved. There's a lot of shit going on, so we're not wasting any time today. First and foremost, the blackout last night, I have one word for it. It was riveting. Riveting. It was absolutely riveting.
Jerseys look good.
Jerseys looked hot.
Helmets look good.
You didn't like him. I know he wasn't going to.
I didn't like.
We knew that.
I don't like the black uniforms. Never have.
Did you like the blue helmets?
good.
The blue helmets were
It
fucking
was okay.
awesome.
I like the helmets from last year better.
And a difference between these black uniforms and the 0-16 black uniforms is they go all black with no
Right.
stripes. That's what
Correct. Instead of the
makes them a
shitty
little
gray
different.
pants.
Yeah.
Shitty gray pants. I also like the end zone design.
End
I
zone was
fucked with
great.
that.
The banners
Around
on
the
the black
stadium.
banners were great.
Loved that too. Loved everything about the game last night. Riveting atmosphere. I had a fantastic time. Bruce, your thoughts on the game?
Absolutely electric.
It was electric. It was a
Electric.
full-on electric factory. Last night was a movie
It was a movie.
where Jared Goff catches touchdowns.
Absolutely.
Zolo, thoughts on the game last night?
Yeah, it was great. Vibes obviously good, and I'm happy the bougie jerseys got matched with bougie offensive play.
Whoo!
I would say the vibe personally didn't touch the Rams game this year. Would you agree with that? As well as any game last year between Raiders Monday night, Broncos Saturday night, the 2 playoff games. I don't think that I think people are, like
They're a little more
I thought in the
comfortable
third
to
and
it
fourth
now.
quarter, I could hear the discomfort when it was an 8-point game.
But see, that made it for me. That made it. Is the fact that it got a little uncomfortable there for a second.
Oh, it makes a good game.
Oh, it made a
Yeah.
great game.
But I want the crowd to reciprocate.
I will say I do agree with you because the loudest the stadium got was when Moo Dang came on the screen.
Yeah, in the second half. Yeah.
In the second half. It was when Moo Dang made an appearance. But obviously, it's a Victory Tuesday. So we have 5 things. It's Zolo's 5 things.
Thing number 1. For those worried about Jared Goff, I hope that helped. Did that help you? I hope it was therapeutic.
Uncle Sam, did it help you?
What do you mean?
Do you have some more? You were a little low on golf after last week. Do you have some?
No, I wasn't low on golf. I wasn't low on golf last
Well, he
week.
played like dog shit.
Well, no, I mean, it's a combination, dude. Listen, the offensive line has played perfect for him to be good, period.
Yeah, offensive line was much improved yesterday. I thought that was one of their best games. It was their best game. That was the offensive line's best game of the season.
Agree.
That being said, so forget the whole perfect thing. He only threw the ball 18 times, so I don't want to get too hung up on that. It's still impressive. It's still cool. Focus more on the fact that he was efficient and he was sharp. There wasn't one bad throw the entire game. There was the play where he did the 360 while getting sacked, and he was able to get the who was it, Montgomery or St. Brown on the other end of that pass, or Raymond? I can't remember who it was.
The spinny thing?
The spinny thing.
Was that Tim Patrick?
Oh, it might have been Tim
I
Patrick.
think it was.
Who, by the way,
Tim
Patrick.
I don't have him in my notes anywhere, but Tim Patrick is very nicely emerging into what we thought he would be.
Agreed.
He's going to be wide receiver 3. He's going to be better than Reynolds. But I just thought Goff was efficient yesterday. Every throw was good. Every throw was sharp. And that's what you need out of Goff. This is it's not quite, I want him between 20 and 25. It's not quite at that point, but That's what you want him at. You want him right where he was yesterday as a game manager. And yeah, some people might say, "Oh, you don't want the game manager to be paid $50 million." Whatever. That's what it is these days. You want Goff to manage the game exactly how he did, and he did it. Any thoughts? Anything to add?
I can't disagree with you. I'll tell you what. What I thought was the most impressive thing about it was he only threw the ball 18 times.
Yeah.
Because if your offense is running the ball that effectively and you're that pointed to where everything's being executed that well, and you only have to throw the ball 18 times to put up 42 points, you're doing shit the right way.
Yeah, agreed. Which leads me to thing number 2. For those that were worried about Ben Johnson, I hope that helped. That was his best. I think that may have been his best called game as the Lions offensive coordinator. Everything was perfect. The run-pass balance was perfect. And when you're running the ball well, right, you're on schedule. That was the first offensive showing where they were on schedule running the ball yesterday, which means, if for those that don't know what I mean by on schedule, first down, you run the ball, you get 3 yards. Second down, you run it or you throw a short pass, you get another 3 yards. If you're always in third and short or third and manageable, it's really hard to defend that. Really, really hard. And they were on schedule, and that was because of Ben Johnson. He trusted his offensive line. He trusted his run game. He trusted Goff. That's what you need to be.
I agree 1,000.
There was a couple drives there. They didn't even have a third down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think they got
They didn't
stopped
have
on
third down.
one third down the
They
entire
did.
game. It was they ran. Montgomery kind of fucked it up. He cut instead of hitting the hole, and he would have
Went
had
outside.
it. He went outside, and he would have had it. It was the right play call, but they only got stopped on one third
There was
down.
a play in that third quarter where the fourth down play where they tried to go wide with him, and that was dumb.
That was it.
I didn't
That's-
like
that's the
that play.
It was on Montgomery, though. He had a chance to cut it and follow the blocker, and he didn't. He kept going, and it was a really nice play by whoever the defender was.
The worst called drive of the game was the first drive of the game,
Yeah, I mean,
without question.
Well, I thought that goal line play where he got fucking sacked was stupid. I thought that play was dumb.
you talk about at the end.
Yeah, I didn't care for that at all. That was a stupid call.
I'll say this much: as far as that was the best Ben Johnson game we've seen.
Yeah,
It got there's-
outside those two calls, I think he called a really good game.
Agreed.
And I don't want to get hung up on the gadget plays, but I do like to get hung up on the timeliness of the gadget plays.
Oh,
There was one that's going to get overlooked in the first quarter was it the first quarter? It may have been the second quarter, but it was the second scoring drive, the one where Gibbs scored. He did this misdirection and then gave St. Brown a short pass up the
Yes.
middle that went for 4
Oh, it was
yards and got the
beautiful.
ball to the 1. That was great. Obviously, so I saw as soon as I saw St. Brown running towards the end on the touchdown throw to Goff, saw it coming from a mile away, and it was set up so brilliantly.
it was like butter smooth.
Yeah.
It was so smooth.
Brieski just walked. They have 2 outs, by the way. Brieski just walked someone to load the bases. So the bases are loaded. 3-1, 2 outs. Brieski on the bump. Let's see who's coming up here for the Astros.
It's a tense moment.
Yeah, it's not.
Tigers playoff baseball.
It's not great. It's not great.
Not looking too hot at the moment.
I didn't imagine this derailing 5 things. Coming out for a mound visit. Thing number 3, I know a lot of people are going to complain about the defense. The defense was not as off as you think it was yesterday. It held them to 7 points in the first half. And they were missing Bryant Branch as well, which I don't want to get into injuries because the Seahawks were missing a ton of guys. It goes both ways. I can just tell you that in the second half, they were dominated. Really, the whole game, they were dominated by Kenneth Walker. I thought he was the difference in the game yesterday for Seattle. And he had some big runs.
The second half tackling was atrocious.
And you know who's the best
That was
tackler on the
fucking
team?
atrocious.
You know who's the best tackler on the team?
Who's that?
Brian Branch. And I think that a lot of those runs, big runs, are mitigated if Branch is there. But the corners didn't tackle well in the second half. I really, despite the penalties on Arnold and Davis, I thought they held their own against Metcalf.
They got to start playing. Arnold needs to start playing a cleaner game.
Yeah.
Every game he gets flagged for at least a couple of holdings and a pass interference. He needs to clean that shit up.
It was.
He needs to fucking clean it up.
He's contributed to a lot of penalty yards so far.
Yeah.
That's one thing. But again, it's his 4th NFL game. So
Well, I mean,
There's only so long
listen,
you give it
he's
a pass for.
he
I
played
get
at
that.
he played at Alabama. He's played at a high level. I don't.
I will say the one thing about him that worries me is they had him lined up on Lockett for a good portion of that game, and he looked small compared to Tyler Lockett.
Well, no, I wouldn't say that. I mean, he's got good size. I don't think that's the issue.
All right, let me rephrase that. When you see,
Lockett can run circles around him. That's the problem.
when you see Devin Witherspoon and Tariq Woolen lined up on Amon-Ra, and
Tariq
Amon-Ra
Woolen's
looks like
6'4", dude.
I mean, they're crazy, huge
He's
guys.
6'4".
And you see Terry and Arnold.
Yeah.
That's the only thing is that I don't know if he's up against some bigger dudes.
It didn't matter because when Montgomery caught that pass and Witherspoon tried to lay a fucking shot on him,
Yeah.
he got fucking crippled.
David Montgomery was a freight train last night. An absolute fucking freight train.
We got a 2-2 count with the bases loaded right now. 2 outs.
Can we
I can sneak in a thing.
let's
Wait, hold on. There's a pitch coming. A line out right to the glove of Spencer Torkelson. Tigers win 3-1.
There you go. The game won.
That's one. That's one.
Tigres.
One more.
The
One more.
Tigres.
Tigers win.
Thing number 4. This still wasn't a complete game. It was not. The defense had been good. It wasn't great in the second half yesterday. Offense was good wire to wire. You're 3-1 right now, and you still haven't played your best football. It's ahead of you. There's a lot of injuries. You have the bye week to get over it. I think you take that right now.
Hey, what do they got? What do they got to get back? Branch?
They got to get
Branch?
back Branch. They got to
Maybe
get
Ragnow?
They got to get back
Maybe?
Ragnow. They got to
Maybe?
get back Melifonwu eventually. He was placed on IR on Saturday.
Well, if he was placed on IR, you're not going to see him for at least 5
For
weeks.
4 weeks.
So
All the guys that are unhealthy. So Laporta, who's been a little banged up, who had a good game yesterday. Laporta is going to get more time to rest.
You want to know who I saw last night and the way that they were playing? It was noticeable that they were not 100%. Was Anzalone.
Yeah.
Anzalone looked slow. He didn't have that same Garrett Gertz like bullet at China shop shit going on where he's overrunning things. Like
no, that's actually, you know what? That's the best thing that happened to him.
Well, but he didn't look
with
good
that
in coverage.
concussion is the best thing that happened.
He didn't look good in coverage, and he didn't. Anzalone last night looked shaky, and I think that's due to health more so than anything else.
Yeah. And again, it gives him time, even though his replacements, I mean, Jack Campbell, that was probably his best game as a pro.
You got
Even Rodriguez looked good last night too.
You got to give Seattle their credit too, because Geno Smith, he was really decisive. He was dropping back and getting rid of the ball, so the pass rush didn't have a fucking chance to get to him.
Guy had a monster
So-
second half.
And you know what? He put 400 yards up on him, dude.
And the receivers,
say
give the
what you wanna
receivers,
say.
the receivers and Kenneth Walker as well, Charbonnet, the whole offense. Yeah, credit where it's due.
Offensively, they played a great game. Defensively, I don't think they looked that great. But
Well,
again,
they were missing a ton of guys.
they're missing a lot of guys on defense.
A
Mm-hmm.
lot more than Detroit was. That's for sure.
You got to give the Lions their flowers on this one.
Yeah.
That was a 3-0 team coming in.
Thing number 5, you're 3-1 at the quarter turn. I emphasized this last year. That there's 4 quarters in the season. There's 4 4-game segments. This was your first one. You're 3-1. Taking a look at everyone around them right now. Of course, I mean the Vikings aren't in the conversation preseason, but of course they're 4-0 right now and they're in your division, so you have to take them seriously. But the Eagles, Super Bowl contender, they're 2-2, have looked poor. Cowboys, Super Bowl contender, they're 2-2. Have looked poor. The Packers, Super Bowl contender, 2-2, have looked poor. The 49ers, 2-2. I don't think they've looked that poor. Just issues with their defense, and they've had some injuries, but they could figure it out. You got to like where the Lions stand, even though I think there's going to be a dogfight going down the stretch in the division. I think this bye is perfectly timed, but you're going to take 3-1. If we went into this saying that they're going to be 3-1 a month into the year, we'd all be happy. I think we all called it. Some of us said they'd
You're
lose
going
the
in
Cardinals.
and say Minnesota's 4-0, you'd be like, you're crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
Like everybody
exactly.
would
That's some
say
shit
that.
you would have said.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I don't think anybody picked them to be where they're at.
No.
Minnesota?
Yeah.
No. They were supposed to finish last.
Actually, Chicago was going to, but
I think the most telling sign for the Lions is going to be you come out of the bye. You should have some time to get healthy. You go to Dallas out of the bye.
Great time to play Dallas. They just put Dexter Lawrence on IR.
Micah Parsons is fucked up.
Hypothetically, Micah Parsons won't be back by then. They've looked shaky at best defensively. Offensively, I think they're going to be okay, but they don't have a run game. It's a good time to go to Dallas.
Then after that, you come out and play Minnesota. At Minnesota. Those are
It's a huge game. man.
those
game.
two. If you come out of those two 1-1, I'm satisfied. I'm satisfied. Because then you have Tennessee and Green Bay after that. And I'm not all too worried about that. I think they take the next four
Be
and
careful.
they go 3-1.
Miami wasn't worried about that either.
Miami wasn't worried about what?
I'm not worried about the
Do you
Tennessee
understand?
Titans.
You could line up. You could take the Grosse Pointe Red Barons 8th grade team right now and put them out there against the Miami
I don't
Dolphins,
know what a gross point.
and it would be a
is.
good. It would be a good game. It would be a good game. We'll get to that fucking dumpster fire.
Seattle, real quick, question to you guys: are they worried at all? Are they still in the thick of things? Can
I
they
think
still
so.
get the damn
I
thing
think
done?
they're still in it.
Do you think they could win the division?
Yeah.
No.
I think they got a nice lead.
You disagree. Do you think they can get into the playoffs?
I'll be honest with you. Seattle just still feels fluky to me, and I don't know why, but when I see them, I see an 8 or 9 win team. Like I get it. They had a lot of injuries to their defense, all the above, but Geno Smith throws for 400 yards. Kenneth Walker has a very nice game, and you're still losing.
Well, I think they had a few plays that didn't go their way. It would have been a lot closer. That 2-point conversion that they threw was good.
That and then the schedule coming down the stretch for Seattle. I mean, they have to go through a gauntlet of in the next 6 weeks, Frisco twice, Buffalo,
Well, that's the thing. They got to play Frisco and
the Rams twice,
Got to see how they come out with that.
at Atlanta, at Arizona twice. I don't know. I feel like the back end of their season is not going to look as good.
I think if they could steal a game in San Francisco from them, they're in it. They're in it. I really do.
Yeah.
I think if they could steal a game from San Francisco and probably one from the Rams, they're in it.
The thing is, it's all going to see. You have to see how the chips are going to fall because I really don't think you're going to get 4 division winners that all have 12 or the way things are going that are going to have 12 or 13 wins, and all your wild card teams are going to have 10, 11 wins. It's not going in that direction this year. You're going to have some very close to 500 teams
Yeah.
in that wild
Some
card
9
run.
and 8s and 10s and 7s. Yeah, I know.
Correct.
I know what you're saying.
And so it's going to be, you're going to have a dogfight between the Rams and Seattle and Green Bay. And there's going to be so many teams clumped up right there. 1 or 2 of the teams from the South are going to be all clumped up right there. And you're going to have this hodgepodge of, okay, how many wins does Seattle have against the Rams? The matchup between them and Atlanta. Like, those are going to be really pivotal games for playoff seeding.
Let's go on.
All right, moving on. We're going to go. Our first game of the week is going to be a. You're not going to give it to me today?
Divisional game.
There it is. The Minnesota Vikings took on the Green Bay Packers at Lambeau Field. How did we pick this? I think we might have.
Tell you right now.
I think he took Minnesota.
And then you and I took the Packers, and Bruce took the Packers.
Or Bruce and you might have took the Packers. I don't remember who I
Give
took.
me a second here.
Oh, Bruce has got his notebook out. Bruce is studying.
So, no, I'm the only one that took the Packers. All 3 you took Minnesota.
Wow, interesting.
Yeah.
Minnesota comes up on top, 31-29. This game at the half looked like it was done. It was 28-7 at the half. Green Bay puts up 22 points in the fourth quarter to make this one look respectable. Jordan Love,
It's in my notebook.
389 yards, 4 tuds with 3 picks. Sam Darnold continues the win streak. Minnesota advances to 4-0.
How long can they keep it going?
God.
Can we pull out their schedule?
Yeah, I got it right here.
Go ahead.
Coming up for Minnesota, it is the Jets
That's a toss-up.
in London, next week. Then they hit their bye. Then they have the Lions, the Rams, the Colts, Jacksonville, Tennessee, Chicago.
I mean, that's the
Fucking
easiest
easy
stretch of their
schedule.
schedule.
Jesus Christ.
Easy schedule.
That's the easiest stretch of their schedule. So their back half has to be atrocious.
Okay.
Their back half of the schedule cannot
The
be
worst
easy.
part about it is it's not. Arizona, Atlanta, Chicago, Seattle, Green Bay, Detroit.
I don't know. I still think it gets tricky from there.
But if we broke this down right now, okay, give them, let's say they take a loss to the Jets, they split with the Lions, they split with Chicago, drop one of the two for Tennessee, Jacksonville, and drop one of the two, Seattle and Atlanta. They're 12, 13 win team.
Yeah, but they have to do their part. They have to hold, serve, and all that. It's not easy to do that.
The second half of yesterday's game was the first time they looked mortal. And that to me is a
Yeah,
good sign.
they took their foot off the fucking gas yesterday.
I'll-
Just like with that Cowboy game, how they made their little surge when the game was over. I mean,
I'm going to say this
I
much.
don't agree with that.
I can't fathom how, again, nobody can figure this out. And I said it last week. Somebody has got to be able to figure this out for them.
It'll happen. I do think their defense is elite.
Their defense is elite.
If they can't keep effectively running the ball, which eventually they're going to catch some teams that are going to stop them from running the ball.
Detroit.
If they can't effectively run the ball every game, it's not going to persist. I think there's a level of talent that they don't have. And in history, this doesn't happen. A team just coming out of nowhere and then winning the division. You know, like there's expectations, and they have to keep holding serve. Like the pressure's on them right now. The pressure isn't on the Packers. It's not on the Lions. The pressure's on them. Now they get the third place schedule, which is
I don't agree
outstanding.
with that.
I don't think they play the same teams. They play the same teams.
I don't agree with that. I think the pressure's on the Lions.
Why? Because they have to keep winning
They're fucking 4-0, dude. They've already 1-0 in the division.
But everyone behind them is lurking. Just like last year when the Lions were in first, the pressure was on them to win the games while everyone around them wasn't. You have to pull away.
The Lions' job right now has to be you're beating Minnesota twice. If you do that, there's nothing else that you can do.
That's just assuming the Vikings go 15-2. You know, like they're gonna lose. The way this league shaped up, like we didn't think the Broncos were gonna beat the Jets.
No.
We didn't think the Broncos were gonna beat the Bucks last week. We didn't think what's another good upset that I'm not thinking of.
Jesus Christ.
Last week the Panthers beating the Raiders. I know you had that, but there's upsets every week because people don't understand game flow and game planning, and that's why this league is different every single week. That's why a team can look so good one week and so bad the next. Like there's so many ebbs and flows in this sport. Buffalo Bills, great example. Great example. You know, so they're not going to hold serve every week.
Would you consider right now Minnesota as one of the top 3 teams in the NFC?
You have to. You have to.
What they've done.
They're 4-0, and they've beaten, in my opinion, at least one good team in San Francisco. You can make the case it's 2 if you throw in the Packers. You can make that case easily.
I hate it.
I know, but it is what it is. Like at this point, this is
Do you
4
think
data
they're better
points.
than Washington right now?
Yes, because of their defense.
Do you think they're better than the Detroit Lions?
Right now, on paper, yeah. Long term, no. Because something that separates the Lions from these other something that separates good teams and bad teams is depth. And the Vikings, they're already on their depth quarterback. Something happens to him like last year. If something happens to him, they're probably toast. Something happens to that running back or Justin Jefferson like last year, they're probably toast. So it's really tricky because they don't have the depth that the Lions do. It's the same with the Niners. They're getting it done right now because they're deep as shit. They're really deep.
Okay, next thing, the Packers. Now they're 2-0 with Malik Willis and 0-2 with Jordan Love. Are they going to be able to keep pace? They got their guy back. It still wasn't enough to beat the Vikings. Can they keep pace in this division right now?
I want your take on it. I'm really curious. Because you're usually right about this stuff.
I don't know. I mean, at this point, they're too inconsistent.
They are extremely inconsistent.
You know,
And where is Josh Jacobs?
they got some injuries going on right now with their defense too. So you gotta see. You gotta. You know what? You gotta let it play out.
Do you think Green Bay looks like a playoff team right now?
Right now, no.
No.
I agree.
No, their 2 wins were, I don't want to call them fluky, but they were against bad teams where they were able to just run the ball with their backup quarterback.
Yeah.
So they played their 2 good teams that they've played, Minnesota and Philly.
And Philly's a fucking.
And Philly's a mess, and you lost a dogfight to Philly. So, no, I don't think so. And what you said on inconsistencies is great because Jordan Love he could be really good and really dialed in, but he's really inconsistent. There's things that you can do. You can force him to make bad plays, and that's how you beat them. Like you let him try to beat you downfield because he's going to make a lot of mistakes. I think that Brian Flores went in with that game plan, and that's what happened. So right now, at this current juncture, no, I don't think they can keep up with Detroit and with San Francisco because they have a slightly harder schedule. And they have a lot of those hard teams that Detroit and Detroit and Minnesota have played already. They have them ahead of them. Like they're gonna have to play the Niners at some point. They're gonna have to play the Rams at some point. They're gonna have to play the Seahawks at some point. And I don't think they're gonna. You got to hold serve, and it's not easy to hold serve.
Speaking of the Rams went into Chicago yesterday, and the Bears came out with a win, 24-18, dropping the Rams to 1-3. The Bears now 2-2. Overall, I mean, if you look at this receiving core for the Rams right now, my God, is it fucking bad. It was the Tutu Atwell show. He led the receiving yards for the Rams with 82. Where is this for the Rams? Can they keep doing this with they can't go on like this, right? I mean, if they continue to play this way with this group, I personally think I think Uncle Sam disagrees with me. They're gonna see themselves right out of this playoff picture very quick.
They're missing a lot of guys.
I mean, they are fucking devastated.
And it goes back.
I don't think there's a team in the league.
Miami.
There's 2 teams. No, there's 2 teams in the league that are devastated when it comes to their playmakers. I think one is Philadelphia, obviously missing all their receivers. The Rams missing all their fucking receivers, and that's just devastating for them. That they're not.
And the offensive line.
The offensive line for the Rams, they're fucking atrocious. Matt Stafford, I'll be shocked if this guy can make it through to week 7.
You might be right. And this goes back to what I was saying about depth. The Rams are a really good team if on paper everyone's healthy and ready to go. If you don't have the depth, it's hard to compete.
I don't know how Stafford can stand in there at what 30.
Listen, I'll say this, dude. I watched that game, and I'll tell you what, he was putting some dimes out there. I was impressed. I was impressed with him. In a loss, running for his life, not having any kind of a safety blanket to throw to, and my man was just letting it rip. You know.
So do you think this is the beginning to see Caleb Williams?
I think Chicago's defense is for real. I think everybody needs to stand up and take notice on that. They are no slouch. Their defense is very good.
What about
front and back?
What about the offense? What about Caleb?
Yeah, I think this was him starting to take a step.
I'm going to say this, and I still think there's a lot of issues there. He has trouble. He'll throw one pass that's absolutely gorgeous, and the next 4 are fucking atrocious.
Apparently, Caleb Williams, DJ Moore, and Cole Kmet went to offensive coordinator Shane Waldron and said, we need to be more aggressive. We need to do more aggressive things. Okay. And that's why I think they're putting him in more risky situations where his passes might be off. But I also think that's what he's good at. Like at USC, he was really good at throwing off his back foot and throwing off the run. It's just you need to put together a body of work. I thought this was his best game.
Right. He hasn't been in the league long enough to do that Matt Stafford type shit.
Agreed.
So what he needs to do is concentrate on hitting your fucking receivers because they're getting frustrated because you're missing wide open guys. wide open guys and you're missing them. And you're not reading it and you're missing them. That's what I've seen out of him. I don't know if anybody else notices that stuff, but let me tell you something. I watch him. He struggles going through progression, and he misses wide open receivers.
Well, Swift led the team in receiving yesterday, 7 receptions for 72 yards. Next was Kmet with 3. Listen, I know they wanted to make DeAndre Swift a bigger focus of the offense because he was a ghost up until this game for the most part, and I think they're starting to do that.
Okay.
Good things can happen, but I do agree with you in a sense where when you have DJ Moore and Keenan Allen and Rome Odunze, and they're combining for 7 receptions, you've got to get those guys involved more.
They got lucky they won this game. They got lucky they won fucking games previously, too. They got lucky they won the first 2 games they won.
As a Lions fan, are you scared of the Bears right now?
No.
Their defense is very formidable. They're beatable. They're beatable.
Moving on. I don't want to spend a lot of time on this.
Perfect.
I was so sick to my stomach watching this on my phone while I was at the game. The Titans went to Miami to play the Dolphins. Will Levis is a dumb fuck, but he did just enough to get it done. Actually, he didn't do just enough to get it done. He shit the bed so hard. Rudolph.
He went out hurt. He got tackled, landed on his shoulder, and Rudolph came in and
he had another awful interception. And Mason Rudolph came into the fucking game.
In an important league last night, I lost by 6 points on the Tony Pollard garbage time touchdown, and I'm livid. I'm absolutely livid.
I've got one better. I had a 12 leg for the Lions. I missed the DK Metcalf anytime. I went 11 for 12 on down at the half-yard line. Anyways, I'm sorry. If Will Levis plays this whole game, do you think it's the same result?
No. Yeah.
I actually do.
Yeah, I do.
I
think Miami's that bad. And let me tell you something right now. Tyreek Hill was losing his mind on the fucking side.
So the rumors already started today. That by the end of the week, he's going to request a trade, and Kansas City would be interested in taking him back. That whole shit show has already begun. That's a terrible sign. And they already came out today and said Snoop Doogity-Doo will be the fucking starting quarterback in week 5.
Well, he might as well pack his bags and buy his fucking plane ticket to KC.
I'm so fucking appalled with Miami right now. The problem is Achane doesn't work because everybody knows all you're going to do is run the fucking ball. So Achane doesn't work, and you don't have a quarterback who can get anybody the ball. I'm sorry. I can't. I don't understand why you just won't go out and get a fucking. You are a playoff caliber team whose defense has given up because they know it's pointless, and none of your receivers get the ball. I mean, it's just so fucking bad. It is so bad. I personally think that the Titans are better without Will Levis. I think Will Levis makes dumb mistakes. He tries hard. He fumbles or throws an interception, cries on the sideline. He's not an NFL quarterback. I think we all just need to get there. I think we're going to see it. I don't think Mason Rudolph is the answer. I don't think Tennessee is that good. But honestly, I think that they will have less shitty fucking mistakes without Will Levis in there. I know you disagree. Will Levis ain't it, dude. You can pack it in on him just like they did with Bryce Young. Do you agree or no?
I don't know.
Do you think Will Levis is better than Bryce Young?
Obviously, Rudolph was better than him. So what are you going to say? They won the fucking game. I mean,
the other thing
the bigger thing is to be scared about is your playoff caliber fucking Miami Dolphins team.
I'm aware.
It looks like they might finish behind fucking New England.
We need to start dishing out blame now because we're at that point. This has to start to fall on Mike McDaniel for not being able to formulate some sort of game plan with.
Well, Snoop Doogity-Doo and him being in there, it looked like he just came in this week. It looks exactly like that.
Well, that's what happened.
My man doesn't know where anybody's at. He don't know where anybody's running. And What I've seen looks like something they're drawing up in the dirt.
Snoop
It
doo-doo.
looks bad, dude.
Snoop Duke. Listen,
Doo-doo.
Does it look bad or no?
I-
It looks like they're
I
drawing
didn't
plays
see-
up in the fucking
I didn't
dirt.
see anything.
Fuck.
So
Listen,
I would know.
they're bad, dude. They're bad.
but hold on. I get that. If you look at backup quarterbacks, right? Flacco comes in the game last week, wins the game for the Colts. Mason Rudolph comes in this game yesterday, wins the game.
hold on here.
Malik Willis.
You got a 4th and 1 yesterday for Miami. They run a wide fucking little receiver fucking sweep with Tariq Hill, and my man gets blasted behind the fucking line of scrimmage for a 3-yard loss. What are you doing?
But that's coaching.
What
you
are
can't
you-
blame Snoop
that's
Doogity Doo
coaching.
for that.
That's fucking
That's Mike
coaching.
McDaniel. He
Mike
cannot
McDaniel.
scheme.
I don't know what he's doing with his little cute haircut and his little sweats with one leg pulled up, and you know what? I don't know who thinks he's a good coach, because I don't think he's a good coach.
I mean, but the problem is at times he's looked fantastic.
Yeah, well, he's a play caller,
Oh,
and he's calling the plays, and he's fucking destroying
you
a very good roster
You
with
could-
the garbage that he's putting out there.
you could give Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, and Achane to pretty much any quarterback and any coach in the league, and they could make something happen better than what's happening right
We've
now.
Listen,
talked way too much.
Listen to me. Malik Willis is making it happen.
That's what I'm saying.
So don't tell me Malik Willis is better than Snoop Doogity Doo.
He's better than Snoop
better
Doogity
than
Doo.
what was the other dude's name?
Skylar fucking
Skylar Thompson.
He's better
He's
than both.
dead.
Skylar Thompson's dead. Snoop Doogity Doo's fucking garbage. They should trade for Malik Willis.
At the end of the day, you have Tyreek Hill, who's arguably the best receiver in football, and if you're not finding a way to scheme him open, it's not good.
It's not
No.
Mike
At
McDaniel.
some point, it's going to come down on McDaniel pretty soon.
It has to now. It has to now. You need to get somebody.
Well, you
that-
can't use Tua as the scapegoat here. Can't use him as a scapegoat, that's for sure.
Next up, we had a
Divisional game.
between the Jacksonville Jaguars and the Houston Texans down in Houston. Houston comes out on top in this one, 24-20. And for the first time all year, I gotta say, Jacksonville didn't look fucking awful.
No, I thought they played actually a pretty good game, dude. They played a pretty
They
damn
played a
good
pretty
game.
good game.
Trevor Lawrence did not look like utter dog shit yesterday. He actually looked pretty good.
Jacksonville's
Or
0-4. I don't know what Doug Peterson has against Travis Etienne, but it looked pretty ugly.
To me, I think ATM might be banged up.
You think?
I think so. I think that's why you're seeing Tank Bigsby so much.
I don't think he likes Etienne very much right now for some reason.
Of course.
I don't.
Well, that's a guy that won games for the past regimes. So
Brian Thomas looked good again.
Yeah,
And I mean, Houston
he's showing he's probably one of the top receivers to come out of that class.
Houston's defense to me still looks a little bit shaky.
I think their offense looks shaky too.
I think
think
they're still.
Their offense looked real shaky.
yeah.
We have not seen. You know how you said the Lions have not played one complete game yet? Houston has not played one complete game
I
yet.
agree.
They still have holes. They still look shaky.
Well, what's hurting is no Mixon. So they have no balance right now. They have no balance.
Even with Mixon, though, those first 2 weeks, I still didn't love what I saw out of them. I still didn't love it. I thought the Colts choked away the first game. And then the second one, like they only dropped 19. It's the Bears who have a good defense. They only dropped 19 points on them. So even with Mixon,
I think the
in
Bears
those
are that
games-
good. Defensively, I think they're that
I
good.
get it, but then you look at the trend over the last 2 weeks. The Texans still like there was 7 points
No.
last week, and then only 24. I think they're missing something. There's something off. There's some sort of they're not in sync. They're just not in
The
sync.
offensive line has not played well this year, where they played very well last year.
So are we all in agreement that they have another gear that they can hit the Texans?
I think so.
Oh,
Absolutely.
yeah.
They're not, this isn't
Absolutely.
their ceiling right now.
No. I think that the best football is definitely ahead for the Texans.
And when does Jacksonville replace their coach?
So that's a good question.
At what point?
We had this conversation. They need go pull out their schedule. We
That's
did
what-
this last week, but we could
Yeah.
reevaluate.
Let's do it again. Indy next week.
Gotta win one. at some point.
Indy's a mess right now.
Well, hold on.
Joe Flacco coming in, I think, might give them a lift.
Indy with Flacco. I'm taking Indy in that game at Chicago. In fucking one of the foreign countries.
That's a tough game.
Yeah, you gotta go across the world and play Chicago, and at home against New England. I mean,
you're gonna get
if
that.
they
one,
find
yeah.
a way to win 2 of those next 3, then I think Doug Peterson's safe.
But that doesn't put them. They're 0-4. That you can't. It's really tough to survive 0-4.
2 and 5. No, they're not surviving. Jacksonville's out of. I think we can eliminate Jacksonville from the playoff picture.
Yeah.
But to make it put enough makeup on it to save his job, I think there's still a chance. There's a chance.
Okay.
Agree or disagree?
Well, because they're going to use the Richardson injury. That's what they did last year.
No. We're talking about Jacksonville.
Oh, sorry.
Is there any way that Doug Peterson can put enough makeup on
I
to
don't
say
know,
they win the
dude.
next?
I don't know. Like
of the
you
next
said,
3.
let's say they win 1 out of the next 3.
Well, yeah. I mean, you're 1
So
and 7.
then you're 1-7.
Then they go Green Bay,
He's
Philly,
gotta be-
Minnesota,
It's
Detroit.
got to get canned. It's got to
Green-
get fucking canned.
Do they win 1 of Green Bay, Philly, Minnesota, Detroit?
Yes.
Maybe 1 of them.
Ooh. That puts him at 2 and fucking 10 at the bye. He's losing his job. If they're 2 and 10 at the bye week, you got to get rid of him.
Yeah.
Let's jump. The Buccaneers hosted the Eagles. And Tampa Bay comes out on top in this one, 33-16. Philadelphia, man. I'm sorry. It's not good. Nothing about that team right now looks good. Nothing. And I get it. You're missing A.J. Brown. You're missing Devonta Smith. The defense that's supposed to be so touted doesn't look good.
I think the coordinators are fucking.
You're the Philly whisperer.
I'm going to tell you right now, I can't stand the head coach. I don't like him. I don't care for him. But let me tell you something. Jalen Hurts has played like shit
Okay, so who do you put more
all
blame
this
on?
year.
I want to know for both
I
of
don't
you.
know. I don't know. I mean, obviously, you're going to put it on the players because they're the ones not producing. They're there to produce. They're not producing.
I think you put more blame on Sirianni.
Sirianni.
You have to. Don't get me wrong. It's well documented. I think Jalen Hurts is, if not the most overrated, one of the top 2 most overrated quarterbacks in football. Period. And I'm going to stand by that. Sirianni is, I believe I saw the stat today, 3-13 in his last 13 games. 3-10 in his last 13 games.
Well, we know he lost his team at the end of last year.
Well, he didn't get them back.
How long? It does not look like it.
How long does this go on? How long can they sustain this before they're like, hey?
If this persists, he was already on thin ice before the season started. If this persists and it drags further, and because they're a team that can go on a run at any point in time and get into the playoffs, right? If this persists and drags further, we'll say 2 to 4 weeks before the end of October, before Election Day.
We have saving grace. I think Philly has some saving grace, and I think Nick Sirianni has some saving grace. They're going into the bye this week. Hopefully they can get one of A.J. Brown or Devonta Smith back coming out of the bye. They take Cleveland at home, at the Giants, at Cincinnati, at home against Jacksonville. The first 4 out of the bye. They go 4-0 there, I think all is forgiven. Even if they go 3-1 there, I think all is forgiven. On the flip side of this coin, Tampa Bay's looked really, really good. I know they stumbled against Denver last week, and I think that was a mouth punch game. Are they the New Orleans came down to earth a little bit. Atlanta hasn't been wildly impressive. Is Tampa Bay the front runner in that division?
Oh, I think so.
And to follow on that, is Tampa good enough to at least sniff the Super Bowl conversation?
Yes.
I
Like
think so.
NFC championship.
I think so.
Yes.
Baker Mayfield keeps playing the way he is. Yeah.
Yes.
Listen, here's the thing, though. I don't know if these first few games that you've seen out of them is an anomaly. They have a tough schedule coming up that's going to come up.
And their
they're
division.
They're going to play some really good teams.
Their division's tough,
You
too.
read
Correct.
my mind. They have Atlanta on Thursday Night Football.
Tough. Great game. That's a good
Divisional
one.
games, you know how they are.
Then the following week they go to New Orleans.
Tough game.
Then
Another divisional
And they're
game.
historically bad in New Orleans.
they are
Yeah.
historically bad. Then Baltimore goes to Tampa.
There you go.
Then Atlanta goes to Tampa. Then they go to Arrowhead.
Right.
Then they host San Francisco.
There you go.
So if they're
This
good, we'll
will
find
tell
out.
you.
That's
This is
the
going to tell
hardest-
you
That's the biggest
next,
chunk.
5-game stretch?
6 games.
6 games is going to tell you what they're made of.
Yeah. I mean, God bless them. Realistically, I think that
And if they could come out 3-3,
if they go, I
no
you took
6
the words
games,
out of my mouth.
That's
they're for
good.
real.
If they're
That's
6-3 at their bye week,
Yeah.
then they are as for real.
And
as
that's
it gets.
before you get the Panthers twice, too.
Correct.
Right.
Then they have the Panthers twice. They play Vegas in there. They play the Chargers in there, and the Giants to end the year. So
No,
I think
they're real.
you have to have you have to give Tampa some serious thought right now.
Right.
Next up, we have a
Divisional
give
game.
it to me. I want to. Oh, love it. Nothing I love better than a little divisional game. New Orleans went to Atlanta to play the Falcons. Atlanta comes out on top in a very narrow victory, 26-24. This game was neck and neck the entire way. I enjoyed watching this game a whole lot. I don't know really where I'm at with either of these two teams, but I think we can all kind of agree that we've cooled off on the Saints a little bit.
I think they've come down to earth.
They're not taking the world
50
by
points a
storm.
game, that's for sure.
Granted, I think they're playing better defenses than they were. Between these two teams, who do we like more playoff-wise, New Orleans or Atlanta?
Atlanta.
Atlanta.
I think Atlanta's more well-rounded.
I like Atlanta's. I like what Kirk Cousins is doing. Their defense, I think, is a little underrated. They've really improved from last year to this year. So,
Now, the only thing that's
although I do like New Orleans' defense too.
this is the thing. I like what both of these teams are doing right now, and I think they're both a lot more similar than what meets the eye. Like, I think you're going to have a neck and neck race between these two all year. The thing that is about Atlanta, and it's very Arthur Smith-esque, Tyler Algiers consistently getting carries over Bijan Robinson. Is the ghost of Arthur Smith still in that building? I
I have no idea.
They got a good coordinator that knows what he's doing, so maybe there's something that we don't know if that's the case.
Now, and we just talked about how Tampa's got to go through the gauntlet. Do you see a situation where either of these teams overtake them and somehow win that division?
Yes.
Possibly.
I think Tampa's better than these two teams and is a legitimate NFC title contender. That being said, yeah, of course. We just talked about the gauntlet. Like there's ebbs and flows to this thing. Teams, how many divisions are there? There's 8. I think 4 out of the 8 were won towards the end of the year last year. So, I mean, Dallas came back at the end of the year last year. We can go through the list. Miami lost theirs at the end of the year last year. The Niners almost choked theirs away at the end of the year last year. There's a long list. So if that's the case, down the stretch, things change. Injuries happen. You know, teams get hot down the stretch. The Lions won 8 of 9 2 years ago. So 100%, I think both of these teams can end up being in it. The Falcons would be my pick. I think they're very talented. Still have so much to see from either of these two teams though, to see if they can overtake the Bucs.
Yeah. If you look, just a quick look over both their schedules, they do not have to go through what Tampa has to go through.
right.
The only thing that sucks for Atlanta is they've got to play Tampa twice in the next 6. Moving on. Let's talk about the Ravens and the Bills. Baltimore hosted Buffalo on Sunday Night Football, and Baltimore spanked them 35-10. We saw some Mitch Trubisky. We saw some Josh Johnson. This game, from literally Baltimore's first play, where Derrick Henry just shot out of a cannon and had it, well, I believe it was an 87-yard touchdown on the first play from scrimmage. Buffalo took a mouth punch and never recovered from it. Couple things. Ravens were off to a slow start. They weren't all that impressive. Is this team still in the Super Bowl conversation?
Yes.
Are they the favorite in that division?
Well, with Pittsburgh losing, I would say yeah.
I think the Ravens are by far and away. This is a bigger picture conversation, and we'll throw the Bills in there because I'd like to have that conversation when we throw the Bills in there. The AFC is just so weak.
It's dumb.
It's extremely top heavy, and the 3 or 4 teams at the top are not that good, in my opinion. I think the Ravens are very much a Super Bowl contender. I would go as far to, if they get their shit together and they continue this path and build on it, I would go as far as to say they can take the Chiefs down.
I agree.
But that's not saying much about the AFC. I don't know. I need to see more to say if they can win the Super Bowl. But yeah, I mean, they look like the best team in the AFC right now as it stands.
Yeah, that was a very important win for them because it restored all the faith back into it. I think right now, if we're talking today, because Cincinnati has chose to pretty much exit stage right, to me, Baltimore's the best team.
They're exiting stage right, but they're 4-0.
Who?
You're talking about Cincinnati. I'm sorry, I was thinking Kansas City.
No, yeah.
Yeah.
Baltimore's
Sorry.
exiting stage right, and I know I don't want to say anything bad about the Chiefs here, but
No, I think they're exiting stage right too.
I think they're slowly walking their way,
Yeah.
just like Travis Kelce is slowly walking his way into new TV shows. The
Until
Chiefs will also
Tyreek gets
exit.
Well, I'll save it until we get to the Chiefs,
Okay.
which is a couple picks down. But
Well, that's the next question. So if we think that Baltimore and Kansas City are obviously the top two, where do we put the Bills? Like, you think the Bills are better than the Steelers and the Jets?
The AFC is so bad. Yeah, I honestly, I don't even think the Bills are good. You go. I want to hear your take before I get mine.
You know how I feel about the Bills. I thought they should have lost that game against the Cardinals.
Agreed.
But, I mean, at this point, obviously Kansas City's the team to beat. And if there's anybody that could do it, I think the Ravens could do it. I actually think the Bills could do it if Josh Allen could play a controlled game to where he doesn't fuck it up, because that's what he does.
Do you think Houston's better than Buffalo?
Yes.
Sorry, I omitted Houston on here as well. Completely forgot. Yeah,
I think Houston's better.
I think Houston's ceiling is higher than Buffalo's for sure.
Yes.
What about the Jets?
No.
At this point, the way they've looked, and I'm, you know what? Ask me this question within the next week.
I agree.
Because if
I agree.
they pull off what I think they're going to pull off, they're going to look like a different team offensively.
On paper, the Jets should be better than Buffalo. On paper.
Yeah.
I agree with you.
Is anybody scared of Pittsburgh
No, never was.
as a playoff contender?
No.
You know, with their defense, dude.
They might slither in, dude.
They're going to
They
slither
might
in.
slither in.
They're going to slither in like they always do because they have the hot start, and the AFC is so damn down, and their division is also so damn down. They're going to slither in.
Look at that division, dude. Look at it. Look at it.
Yeah.
Justin Fields?
That's where Hardcocks is in a
Justin
couple weeks,
Fields?
too.
Let's get there.
Fuck, dude.
Here we are.
Justin Fields?
To answer the question, I think the Bills rank
Tug
third.
and rub?
in
I
the-
think
Watson?
the Bills rank fourth.
behind
I'm gonna
Houston.
toss Houston
Houston.
in there.
Fair. Sorry, I completely forgot about it.
No, it's all good. Speaking of the Steelers, we need to talk about them. The Pittsburgh Steelers and Justin Fields have officially taken their first loss. They are now 3-1. They went to Indy to play the Colts this week. Anthony Richardson suffered an injury in this game, and Joe Flacco came in.
I don't mean to laugh, but did you see it? Did you see his injury?
I did.
He's got like a hip flexor or something going on there.
And he came back out.
So he goes out. They make him go out. He goes out, comes back out. On the next play, he's trying to run. Fucking hip gives out. He goes down. Then they take him to the locker room. So, they had to wake up Joe Flacco on the sidelines and say, hey, can you come in here? And he said, sure. So he came in and swung the ball around, and they won.
Indianapolis wins 27-24. Joe Flacco did indeed save the day. I'm not going to lie to you, though. I thought Justin Fields played a nice game. Another nice game. 300 yards, a touchdown, 55 on the ground, 2 rushing touchdowns. The guy is putting his team on on his back right now.
Yep.
They were down, I believe, 14-0 after the first, and he had a really nice second half to try and salvage this game. I don't think that Pittsburgh is all that. They're not going to be able to compete offensively, but their defense will keep them in every game, and that showed.
Outside Pickens, dude, he's their only offensive weapon. Him and Freiermuth.
Yeah.
The running game is a solid 4.5 yard per carry.
Not
running game.
even. Fucking
They are. They're solid, dude. Najee Harris is a solid running back.
Dude, Najee Harris
But
had 1.5 yards per carry.
That ain't the problem. They don't have anybody that could take a top off the defense. That's the problem.
You know who it's going to be?
No, I don't.
This is where Devontae Adams is going to end up.
You think so? Pittsburgh?
Yep.
Wow.
Going to go to Pittsburgh.
We've opened this can.
And not the Jets?
Not the Jets.
What makes you think that?
He's going to end up in Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's going to make the best offer,
Well, here's the
and
problem.
they're going to get him.
Here's the issue. Here's the fucking issue.
I mean, Fields had over 350 passing and rushing combined. He combined for 3
It
touchdowns.
was actually their defense that didn't play well.
Yeah.
That's why they lost.
I mean,
There's going to be a game where he takes a shit, and just because of what's going on, they're going to have to put Russell Wilson in to see if it's better, to see if the throws are better, to see if it's more efficient. But yeah, Fields had a good game in a loss, which that you can make the case this was his best game out of the 4, and they
And it was a
lost.
loss.
Let me say this. There was a couple of passes that he threw to Pickens, and Pickens made stupid athletic move to bring the ball.
well, yeah, but
You know.
it's Justin Fields.
Okay.
If you're the Colts, are you all that concerned about Anthony Richardson not being in there?
No.
I mean,
At this point, Anthony Richardson, I think
is he getting? Do you think he's going to get Bryce Young?
No, because his upside is so big.
Yes.
If he can pull it in and reel it in, his problem is
He has.
he doesn't understand that this league is full of guys that are big, fast, and strong, and that can run. And he doesn't understand that. He's got Cam Newtonitis, and that's what happens. You think you're bigger, faster, stronger than everybody else, and you get blown out.
No, I don't think he's Bryce Young. I think Bryce Young's problem is that he's too small and he doesn't have a coach or a coordinator that has spent a proper amount of time nurturing him. Whereas Richardson's problem is he's just raw. I mean, he's really raw. He hasn't played. He's played 8 games, I think, at this point. He could have went back in this game. I do think his best football's in front of him. I think that Shane Steichen has to do a better job of putting him in positions to succeed. You know, that's less running and more, getting guys open in space, getting guys open in the short field instead of the long
Because they're running
field,
the football effectively. So
which
I
should
don't-
open up the pass
I don't
game.
understand why they're not running a little bit of that little play action, roll them out, move the pocket a little bit with them, help them out a little bit instead of just relying on, he's the one pulling the ball down and running it though. I mean, you can only point the finger at coaches so much there.
Shall we move on? The Cincinnati Bengals went to Carolina to play the Carolina Panthers. Cincinnati comes out on top in this one, 34-24. Both these teams are now 1-3.
Didn't look like that way in the beginning, did it? When they were down early.
I mean,
But Burrow pulled it together.
Burrow willed this game because I'll tell you what, Andy Dalton came out and had another pretty fucking decent performance. Chuba Hubbard, really nice game out of him. Obviously, Chase Brown is a huge reason why the Bengals won this game. And if the Bengals can run the fucking ball, if they can actually do something in the run game, they'll win games. If they can't, it's awful. It goes terribly.
Can we go through October for the Bengals?
I would love nothing more than to go through October for the Bengals.
Bruce, I want you involved here because the people want to hear your voice.
Next week they play Baltimore.
Loss.
They're going to lose. Then they go to the Giants.
It's going to be a tough game, and I think they're going to win, but it's going to be tough. Sunday Night Football.
Then they go to Cleveland. That's a win.
I don't know.
It's a win.
I don't know.
It's a win.
I'm gonna say win right now, but it could
Good
change.
defense.
At home against Philadelphia.
I'm gonna say win right now, but that can change.
At home against Vegas.
Win right now, but Vegas is beating better teams than Cincinnati at this point.
At Baltimore.
Loss.
So you think they drop both to Baltimore?
Yeah.
At the Chargers.
Should win.
That's
Realistically,
a loss.
that's their saving grace right there. Is the fact that until the bye, until December, they play Baltimore twice in every other game is realistically winnable for them. Realistically.
Yeah.
They've got to be able to run the fucking football. That's because it will open up everything else. They have to do it. And if that's the case, if they could make it through the next 6, let's say,
Hey, they could get hot right now.
They could.
They've won one game. I get it. But who's to say they can't win 4 out of the next 6? That puts them right back in.
That's what they have to do is win.
They
four
have
out
to
of
win
the
4 of the
four
next
out of the
Right.
next 6.
yeah, if they can drop both to Baltimore and win the rest and be okay. Now, the interesting thing is about the Panthers.
I don't think they drop both to Baltimore. I don't think that. I really
they got to
don't
catch
think
Baltimore sleeping one day.
I telling you right now, dude. The divisional games are played at a different level.
Are the Panthers? Because like originally when this whole thing started out, weeks 1 and 2, I said it on here. There's not one fucking Panthers player that you can play in fantasy football. Right
Andy Dalton,
now,
you can.
huh?
Andy
With
Dalton,
Andy
you
Dalton, you can't. And you can play Andy Dalton, and you can play Deontay
Xavier
Johnson, and you can
Leggett.
play Chuba Hubbard, and now, thank God, finally Xavier Leggette's getting the ball. I think right now, with the numbers that the Panthers are putting up, you've got to play some of those guys. You've got to at least look to play some of those guys. Don't get me wrong, I don't think the Panthers are going to make some run, okay? But fantasy-wise, they've shown 2 weeks in a row now they can put up points. Moving on. The Raiders played the Browns. And we said before this game took place last week that these were currently the 2 biggest dumpster fires in the NFL. And Las Vegas helped us prove which one was the bigger of the 2 dumpster fires because they hosted and beat Cleveland 20-16. It all came out yesterday that Raiders coach liked a Instagram post that somebody was suggesting Devontae Adams had played his last game in Las Vegas.
Can we make a list?
Do we think Devontae Adams played his last game in Las Vegas?
Yes.
So we think he's done.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Now we can discuss where is he going to end up?
What are they looking for?
I don't
They'll
think they're
settle.
looking for
It's not much. They'll settle for a 3rd and some assets. A 2nd probably gets the deal done.
Okay, first let's go through who needs a receiver.
Well, I
Kansas
think
City Chiefs.
Everybody needs a receiver.
Kansas City Chiefs.
I originally thought that.
Yeah.
I don't know about that. I'll say this much. And it's a 1-year rental. The Rams want to stay in playoff contention. Odell Beckham for the Super Bowl run. I think the Rams make sense. I think the Chiefs make sense. I think the Jets make sense. Off the rip, those 3.
Steelers.
I think Pittsburgh makes a lot of sense.
I just don't think he wants to go somewhere where there's not a quarterback.
Commanders. Commanders could be a lot of fun.
The Commanders. Washington.
Yeah.
Him and Scary Terry
Oh, yeah.
as your 1-2 punch.
I found a good list from earlier. Let me pull it up.
I think that this was never a marriage that was going to end in anything but divorce.
As soon as Carr was blackballed and traded, I think that was it. I think if Derek Carr was still there, that would change everything here.
There was one that I saw that really, really surprised me, and it was Buffalo.
Mm-hmm.
Buffalo does not have a number one receiver right now outside of
Shakir.
Khalil Shakir. I think he would fit in there perfectly. That would be fucking scary in my opinion.
Here's my problem with Buffalo. I don't think what they're currently doing to me doesn't work. I think it's fluky that they've won games. I think eventually, like if you want to beat Kansas City, if you want to beat Baltimore, if you want to win a Super Bowl, I think that the flow has to go through Josh Allen at some point. And right now it's not doing that for whatever reason. So if I were him, just watching their offense and how anemic it is when it comes to passing, I wouldn't want to be there. I wouldn't look at that. Like, of course, on paper, it looks great. It looks outstanding on paper. I think it's a great fit. I think it'd be really cool if it happened. But if I was Devontae Adams, I'm like, what's different about this than like, why not go play for the Chargers, who are running the same offense right now and letting it happen through the run game?
Well, so there's a couple other teams that I saw thrown around that we don't really think of because they're not all that good right now, and that was the Chargers, the Patriots, and the Browns.
Chargers makes a lot of sense. Browns, tricky, can see it. I don't think they should make a run at them. They have two decent receivers.
New England doesn't have the balls to do it.
The best fit for me is the Commanders. That's the best fit. I think they can make it happen. I think the timing is perfect for all parties.
What about the Lions?
I don't think they need a receiver.
I think it might gum things up a little bit. It might goo things up.
Max Crosby, now you're talking, but I don't think they need Devontae Adams.
All right, so you think that's the best fit, Zolo. Where do you think ultimately he ends up?
Pittsburgh.
You?
I don't see the Jets.
I don't think you would frown for a week if you got to see Aaron Rodgers throw the ball to Devontae Adams again. I think that you'd goo. It would be very nostalgic. Come on, your Jets offense looks like it is a limp dick right now. Okay, I'm sorry, but that's what it is. You think
They just played in a monsoon.
Oh, Jesus. You sound like a typical Jets fan now, the excuse. If you inject some Devontae Adams into that, you don't think it makes an instant impact? You don't think that opens up Garrett Wilson a little bit?
I think it opens up the whole offense.
So you would like to see him with the Jets, or you think that's the most realistic?
I'm gonna be brutally honest when that game comes up, and I'll give you my thoughts on it.
Okay. So
Can we talk Browns just for 1 second?
I would love. Well, yeah, let's do it.
1 second, because I just want your thoughts on this, Uncle Sam. I had invested interest in this game because I had Jerome Ford going in one league, and I had Amari Cooper going in another. I actually didn't think Deshaun Watson looked that bad in this game. I thought he looked okay, and the pressure is so bad that I think they have an offensive line issue right now. I think that, like, I'm at the point now, he's improved every week, not greatly, not what they're paying him, of course, but he's improved enough every week to where I think that they need to revamp. Something's going on with the offensive line because Deshaun Watson was there, but, like, the end, like, they were driving to win the game, and he got absolutely destroyed on that fourth down that should have been converted because he just didn't have the time to throw. What are your thoughts, real quick, because we've spent too much time talking about it.
Their line's been bad. Their line's been bad since the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
You know what's funny?
But I don't think he helps
It hasn't been
matters
great.
either.
Their defense is
I still think he hangs on to the ball too long.
Yeah.
That's my opinion. And I get it because he's so dangerous with ripping it downfield. But you gotta take what the defense is giving you sometimes. And he refuses to do it.
Can't they just throw 30-30 in there for one game and let's just see if it works?
I think we won't see it at this point unless there's an injury or like another month's worth of bad
Right.
play.
As far as the Raiders go, they're 2-2 now, right?
Mm-hmm.
We talked last week about Antonio Pierce losing this team. You think they're winning because of him or somehow pulling it off with the debauchery that's going on?
Well, I think as soon as they can clear out some of these guys that are putting a cancer in the locker room, I think it might turn them around. We'll see. We'll see what happens.
But we're talking about their best players.
I know.
Like Devontae, like how do you win without, like, you? It's
Yep.
hard. They were doing weird shit. I saw like Turpin and McAllister and guys I've never heard of were getting touchdowns the other day.
They're not using Zamir
So
White.
maybe-
They're not using anybody.
So maybe you might be onto something, but
They were using
it's
Madsen at the end of the game.
it's hard to imagine them winning without
know.
him. And then who knows? Does Max Crosby go next? Like who does someone
Is
on
he
that
next?
defense ask to go next?
Well, there was some rumors going around that Jacoby Myers and Pierce have issues right now.
Jacoby Myers and Pierce.
So let's hypothetically look at the Raiders team without Devontae Adams and Jacoby Myers if they moved on from both.
I mean,
The ghost of Hunter Renfrow going to come back and throw on a Raiders uniform?
They gotta leave something for Shadur to throw to next year.
Next up, we've got
divisional game.
the Kansas City Chiefs headed to Los Angeles to play the Chargers. KC comes out on top of this one, 17-10. This game was just boring.
I actually thought the Chargers were going to win that game.
I thought they were too. I had a glimmer of hope.
I was hoping to.
Chargers didn't do a very good job running the football. Kareem Hunt came back from the dead. A nice little 70-yard game. I don't think either of these two teams played well, personally.
Sometimes if you game plan for something and then an injury happens, it could completely derail everything.
Oh,
It
yeah.
could completely derail your game plan. It's hard to adjust on the fly, even for Andy Reid.
The Chiefs' receiving core is so fucking decimated
They're
right
4-0.
now. And they're 4-0.
And Kelsey hasn't even done anything yet. Like, that's coming. That's lurking at some
Well,
point.
he started yesterday. They started targeting.
They started.
89 yards. He got a lot
They
of
started,
targets.
yeah.
Do you think the Xavier Worthy show begins this week now?
100%.
Yeah.
He was already a big factor in the offense. They're going to go for a guy, though. And it's going to be sooner rather than later. I don't think it's Devontae Adams or
Do you think
anything
it's
like that.
Jacoby Myers?
Maybe. There's probably a name that we don't know about right now. It could be one of the guys that we're not seeing, like Michael Thomas. Like someone's going to show up there and
Oh, the room is true, sir.
Tariq Hill.
the return.
It was flying around today.
There's some bad blood there, though.
Yeah.
I mean,
He kind of burnt some bridges on his way out the door.
Like that goes against everything that they did. And then you have him long term. He's got a long term deal. It's the most expensive deal in the league for a pass catcher. Like, how do you make that work when you have to pay Worthy in 4 years and when you have to pay Rashee
Fuck,
Rice in 3
Rice right
years?
now?
well, Rashi Rice
Yeah.
is going to be in prison next year, so they'll have at least an
He'll be out in 2.
As far as the Chargers go, I mean, where are we at here? Are they? There. It seems like Joey Bosa was sitting in a box. You know, are we beginning to start to see this is the rebuilding year for
Yes.
the Chargers?
Yes. They were
And-
always talent
It is.
depleted.
And the first couple games were just cute.
They were always talent depleted, but they're always going to play. It's a Harbaugh team, so they're always going to play teams close. They're always going to over exceed every time. But I just don't think they have enough talent. And what talent they do have, I don't think is playing well. I don't think they're getting enough out of Bosa and Mack. I have it down on here. Herbert.
Herbert hasn't looked.
He's
good.
banged up, of course, but still, like I don't think they're getting
He's
enough.
learning a new system, too.
What, handing the ball off?
Yeah.
I think the Chargers are going to need more, but the expectations were low. I can still see a
They got a
scenario.
lot of young guys on this team. The receiving core is
But I'll tell you what,
stupid young.
they've looked good. Like McConkey looks really good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Moving on. The New York Jets hosted the Denver Broncos in an absolute fucking toilet of a game. Denver comes out on top 10-9. You have some explaining to do.
What's that?
The Jets are your team.
Well,
You're our resident Jet.
I don't know. I don't know what to say.
Braylon Allen,
It was
34
a really
yards.
sloppy game yesterday. And
Brees Hall had 10 carries for 4 yards.
Yeah. That fucking Denver defense was tough. They were tough.
I think there's more at play here. I
Okay.
really do. How can you be that? How could you? It doesn't make sense. What are they doing?
Well, you're saying that, but Denver did the same thing last week.
Denver mouth punched Tampa Bay, hung 35 up, and walked out of the building.
Okay.
This was a 10.
They played a
gave
very
Aaron
tough
Rodgers
team.
They gave Aaron Rodgers every opportunity to win that game, and he couldn't do it. He couldn't do it. If this was Tom Brady and not Aaron Rodgers, you'd have Tom Brady hanging from the fucking cross right now. So I would like an explanation.
You would have Tom Brady hanging from a cross.
All right? Garrett Wilson's supposed to be an elite receiver in this league. You're not fucking using him. Can I be honest? I think it's kind of gummed up. The Mike Williams and the Lazard and, Conklin had 8 fucking targets. I think it's kind of gummed up right now. And then, Breece Hall, you're only giving him 10 carries a game because you're working Braylon Allen in, and he's not getting into his fucking rhythm. I'm going to look to who's the Aaron Rodgers butt buddy offensive coordinator. What's his fucking name?
Nate Hackett.
I think he has to start to get some blame here because it's not fucking working. Their offense is impotent. It's impotent.
Same way it was in Denver last year.
Exactly. I'm sorry.
Or the year before.
There's something deeper with the fucking Jets, and I don't like it. I don't like the way it looks right now. Because right now, I don't know who this Jets team, as far as AFC powerhouses go, I don't know who they stack up against. Because I don't think it's much. I think the Steelers' defense would run roughshod on them. I think Buffalo would throw them out of the building. I don't think they'd have a chance against Baltimore. So right now, if I'm sounding the alarm on the New York Jets. Are you not?
So am I. And Aaron Rodgers said on Pat McAfee's podcast today that he's a little banged up. He's got soreness in his knee. Is it water on the knee? It's tricky with the Jets because it's a game you should win. It's a game that they won last year with Zach Wilson, and they were fired up to win because of the shit talking between Sean Payton and Nate Hackett. It's odd. It's really odd to me, and I don't know who the blame goes to. I don't know if it goes to the head coach, which seems like things are off. I don't know if it goes to Aaron Rodgers.
I will say this. Obviously, Aaron Rodgers doesn't care for him, and I think it's mutual. I don't think he likes Aaron Rodgers. I think Aaron Rodgers was thrusted onto him, and he had to just bite the bullet.
He had to bend over.
Yep.
Okay.
Mahmoud Bob had to take one for the team.
The next thing we've got to talk about here is the Denver Broncos are now 500. They're 2-2. This is going to start to raise some eyebrows because I want to take a peek at their schedule going forward. They play Vegas next week, then the Chargers, at New Orleans, Carolina, and then it gets a little sticky. At Baltimore, at
Divisional
Kansas City.
games back to back.
Yes.
Sean Payton, they can very much play their way in if that's what you're going to ask.
I mean, if they can roll this momentum into, let's say they split their divisional games, split between New Orleans and Carolina, and beat the Raiders twice. I mean, there's a real shot this could be a 9-10 win football team.
That gets you in the AFC too.
And that will give you a wild card spot. Do we think they're there? Like realistically, can we see that happening?
Yes.
You?
Yeah,
Their
they're
defense
playing the
is
ball.
good.
Their defense is that good.
Their defense is very good. Pat Surtain, look at his numbers against number one receivers that he's covered this year, and he's covered some fucking good number one receivers.
Him and you got to give your flowers. I know we'll talk about them in a second, but Christian Gonzalez.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God, filthy. Next up, in an absolute fucking stomping, and honest to God, my biggest surprise of the week, just because of the way this final score ended up. Washington beat Arizona in Arizona 42-14. Jaden Daniels just taking the world by storm right now. Fucking setting records, doing the damn thing.
Can they steal the division?
Right now, I think they might.
He's been saying that for a couple weeks.
I know.
Yep.
And I'm starting to see it.
I think they would need some things to happen.
They would need Dallas to shit the bed.
And then I would also need to see them against the division as well. Mm-hmm. But yeah, look at the record. They're very much in the conversation.
And again, if we go over a schedule real quick, they play Cleveland this week. That's a win. Then they go to Baltimore, Carolina, Chicago, the Giants.
It's possible.
Then if, say, they split the divisional games, it's look at Washington could easily be a 9-10 win team. It's just going to see where the chips fall, But they look really fucking good. Jaden Daniels, I know we talked about it last week that everybody was talking shit and we shouldn't be giving him, If you've talked shit, then shut up.
Yeah, he's good. He was always good.
He is so fucking good.
He was always good. That was a good secondary for him to eat on, and good for him. I mean, they're coming together nicely right now.
So we all talked about how good of a team the Cardinals were. Were. Take your pick. Are you starting to feel a little bit of panic setting in there?
Yes, 100%.
It's not that they lost; it's the way they lost.
They got fucking stomped.
They
They gave up.
Kyler Murray.
They
just
threw in the
didn't
fucking
look-
towel.
He didn't look like he did the week before. He just didn't look the same.
No, he's been off for a couple. I mean, the
Oh.
Lions may have. I mean, that's one thing.
Since the Lions game.
That's one thing. The Commanders' defense, their secondary it's statistically the worst.
Right.
So what's wrong?
Here's the other thing. They go to San Francisco next week. Then they go to Green Bay. Then they take the Chargers at home. And they get a win at Miami.
The window's shrinking.
Yeah.
I'd be panicking because I was high on the Cardinals. If I was a Cardinals fan, I'd be panicking.
Realistically, by that Monday night game against the Chargers, you could be in a situation where you're 1-5.
Don't disagree.
And that's not good. That you're starting to sound the alarm.
Mm-hmm.
I guess Washington, man. You got that. You really got to start to give them what Jaden Daniels doing right now hasn't been done. So with that being said, they are a threat. Shall we move on to our last game of the week?
Please.
The 49ers played the Patriots. And they won. 30-13.
Can we all agree the Patriots are the worst team in football? Can we agree?
Yeah.
I thought it would be the case going into the year. I'm very confident now. For that reason, I don't think you ever put Drake May in unless you see enough in practice to make it worthwhile. But they're the worst.
They're the worst.
They need Travis Hunter. That's who's going to come save them. It's Travis Hunter. It's going to be Travis Hunter. He's going to save the day. He's going to play opposite Christian Gonzalez, and then he's going to switch sides. He's going to be catching passes from Drake May, and they're going to go 500 for 10 years.
How does that sound to you?
It's not going to happen.
You think the Patriots are the worst team in football right now?
Yeah.
Antonio Gibson led the team in receiving this week, not Hunter Henry, though. So I guess that is something. As far as the 49ers go, Debo came back. Kittle had a very nice touchdown in this game. Purdy did what he needed to do to win the game. Jordan Mason ran for 125
Actually, they
yards.
look kind of.
Shaky still.
They still don't look
off.
great.
They look off.
They do.
Yeah.
Some of the stars stood out a little bit to me. I thought it's the Patriots, though, so I don't want to invest too much. But Boza looked better.
know
Warner
why-
looked better. Purdy has been good throughout this
Yeah,
entire
but
stretch.
Purdy was running around like he was Pat Mahomes. And that, to me, is a recipe for disaster.
Trent Williams is banged up.
Yeah.
Doesn't help.
He was not, I don't know. I just hope they stay like this for a while.
That game didn't change anybody's mind on anything, correct?
No.
It just is what it is. That was a worthless.
They got work to do. The Niners have work to do.
The Niners have to get better. Yeah. And you want to know what? That's if you look right now at most of, I mean, I don't think what teams don't have work to do.
I think they all have
Minnesota.
Minnesota's hit their ceiling.
Minnesota's at the top.
Actually,
of the top.
I take that back. Their work's in front of them. Their work is they got a lot of work to do to keep it up.
But, I mean, they can't play any better than they are. I guess if we're talking teams that can't play any better than they are right now, that conversation's very small. Washington, Minnesota.
Yeah.
Who else? I mean, that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
Maybe Pittsburgh. They lost by a fucking field goal this week, and Justin Fields hit his best game of the year. But their defense looked like shit. I don't know. And that wraps up week 4.
Baltimore.
No, we did.
Baltimore finally put it together.
Baltimore's.
Yeah, that was a good complete game from Baltimore.
Yeah, I agree.
All the way around. Offensively, defensively, they were strong. Against a good team.
Against a good team.
Yeah,
A very good team.
Buffalo's not a dumpster fire.
No.
They're a decent team.
For the AFC, I guess they're not a dumpster fire.
You guys, we get some breaking news.
Okay.
Former Packers running back Eddie Lacy was arrested last night for a quote-unquote extreme DUI. Extreme, quote unquote, extreme DUI.
What does that mean?
Roll damn tide.
What does that mean? Extreme DUI.
I don't even know.
Okay.
Don't know. With that being said, does anybody have anything else to add?
See you tomorrow.
Oh, yeah. Tomorrow's Wednesday, so you know that means it's Fantasy Frenzy. Get your questions ready today. We had some in the chat today. Listen, I will answer them tomorrow, I promise. I'm just trying to save them, okay? Zolo, anything to add?
Go Tigers.
Go Tigers.
It's going to be the same situation tomorrow.
Is it?
Watching the...
Ninth inning, right when we get started. Perfect.
Fucking 2 o'clock in the afternoon. What is that?
Hey, Pink Boy, you haven't said much today. You got anything for me?
Go Tigres.
Oh,
My voice is shot, man.
Go what?
go Tigres. Little Latin flair.
Oh.
Anyways, with that being said, thank you so much for listening to another episode of the Tip Balls Podcast. Make sure to follow our socials, Instagram and Twitter at Tip Balls, and TikTok, where you can now see us live. You can see us live on TikTok, so go there and follow us. It's at Tip Balls Podcast.
We're not kicked off yet, are we?
No, we're still there.
No.
We're still alive.
No, we had more viewers today than we did
Staying
Friday.
alive, baby.
Got to keep it going.
Just trying to make sure we don't get kicked out yet.
If you're listening to us on Spotify or Apple Music, you can watch us on YouTube. Remember to subscribe and ring that bell so you get notified when we go live. Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, besides this week, sometime around 5. Thank you guys so much for listening. Get your questions ready. Get in the chat early. Fantasy Frenzy tomorrow. Thanks again.